I was born in Scotland. I grew up in Edinburgh, but from a young age my parents took my sister and I all over this beautiful nation that we call home. It wasn't until I was a teenager that I was able to truly appreciate the nation I grew up in. A friend once said to me, "Look at this beautiful place you live. Where else do people grow up seeing a 900-year-old castle built on top of an extinct volcano every day?" As soon as I passed my driving test, I found myself giving tours of Scotland to many visitors, friends of friends. I loved every opportunity I had to show off Scotland. My name is Duncan Blair, and I'm the last male Blair in my direct family line of Blairs here in Scotland. My grandmother passed away last September 2019. She was an author, but to my shame I had never read any of her books. After she died, I was determined to make a start. I asked my parents which book I should read first, and they told me that she'd written 2 books about our Blair family history, going back 440 years to 1580. Little did I know, but back in the 1970s, my grandparents found an old wooden pencil box in a set of drawers that had been brought from an old family home. The pencil box contained much information about my ancestors. My grandmother was a storyteller, so even though she'd married into the Blairs, she made it her mission to find out as much as she could about our heritage. She went to many libraries around Scotland. She researched church parish records and read historical books about the area we hailed from, Dundonald in Ayrshire. She took all this information and turned it into 2 well-written novels. So no wonder this is where my parents said I should start reading. A couple of days after my granny's funeral, I started reading the first of the 2 books. I was hooked, reading the stories about all of the Blair men before me, their wives, their families, their children. It was an emotional and very, very real journey. It only took me a few days to get through the first book, and as soon as I finished, I picked up the second one and started reading. 3/4 of the way through the second book, she starts to write about 4 Blair brothers, and out of those 4 brothers, 3 of them emigrated to the States. When I read this, I was overcome with pure elation. Somehow I thought there must be some Blair descendants in the States. I put down the book, and all I wanted to do was find some distant relatives that still carried our Blair name. So I started by searching for the names of the brothers that emigrated to the US. I very quickly found a blog with a picture of William Blair, a successful businessman and politician in Wisconsin. I knew it was him instantly by the resemblance that he shared with my own grandfather. I was able to find the owner of the blog on social media. I eagerly reached out to a gentleman who appeared to be the great-great-great-grandson of William Blair. I was delighted to receive a response that was just as enthusiastic as my message. I had found another Blair man who shared the same direct ancestry as myself, and we started sharing the knowledge that each of us had. Within a few weeks, thanks to this new relative of mine, I had been introduced over email to the entire clan of American Blairs, of whom I share ancestry with. And since September, I've met with 2 of the American Blairs in person, one in Virginia and one in London. My wife and I are moving to the US this summer, and we have plans to become further acquainted with the abundance of newfound relatives. Being the writer that my grandmother was, she wrote her own eulogy. I want to read some of her parting words. She said, "It's been a good life, and I hope it's proving so also to good family and warm friends who have journeyed with me." She mentions some family names, including myself. She says, "It's over to you now. Do your best." And to that I say, challenge accepted. I'm going to do my best by championing our family history and continuing in her footsteps as a storyteller, albeit through video.